And Bernie's campaign demonstrated to everyone that there are millions and millions, socialists here in the United States, and they're not afraid anymore. If I can be borrowing a phrase from another group, they're out of the closet, and they're all over the place. And maybe it's now time to be said to the rest of the American people, get used to it, because it's not going away.
I just wanted to share this because it was let me just sort of provide context really quickly. So context is, it is April 6th today, and we are in the midst of this global pandemic. We're in the midst of a Democratic primary election as well. I'm a huge Bernie bro, and I've canvassed for Bernie in New Hampshire. Drove up there from Massachusetts to New Hampshire to canvass during this primary. I'm definitely partial to Bernie Sanders, and it's sort of been, we Bloody Monday happened. That's the name. I don't know if that's an official name. Kyle Kalinske has called it Bloody Monday. I don't know if people are using that term, but that's to refer to the Monday right before Super Tuesday, where the establishment coalesced behind Joe Biden and essentially lined up behind Joe Biden because of his performance in South Carolina. Pete Buttigieg dropped out. Amy Klobuchar dropped out. They endorsed him. Nobody knew what the impact was going to be a day out from Super Tuesday elections. It was massive, the impact, and also got the Jim Clyburn endorsement. That dude, reminds me of all skin folk ain't kinfolk, because that dude is not my kinfolk. He is a sellout. And yeah, whatever. So I'm a Bernie supporter, and it's been tough to be a Bernie supporter because you're fighting for these sort of, just basic human rights and things that we know we need in this country to just be considered just humane, just basic humanity. And so it's really tough. If he loses, there's no chance of seeing things like Medicare for all. I mean, Joe Biden has already said that he would veto it if it came to his desk if he were president. So, not a Joe Biden fan here. But so it's been tough. If you're a Bernie supporter, and right now, honestly, I thought that Bernie was sort of almost all the way out at this point because of that coalescing, the elections that happened afterward just kind of piled on. They were holding elections in the middle of a pandemic. We'll get to Wisconsin later, who's doing that right now as we speak. And it's, as a Bernie supporter, it's been a tough go because you were very, very hopeful leading up right before South Carolina, right before Bloody Monday. Hopes were high. And then the coalescing happened, Bloody Monday happened, and then it really, really was sort of sad to see, hurtful to see, really painful, because the human impact and the human toll that it's going to take. But for, Joe Biden versus Trump, I mean, those, two sides of the same coin there. And Bernie was something special. And so I just wanted to point this out and sort of show you guys this clip because it gave me some encouragement, lifted my spirits a bit, just to see somebody that really understands the economics of the situation and just U.S. economics and the history of economics, and to put it in perspective, really. And he had a really positive outlook. So I want to show you this video. This is Dr. Richard Wolff. And this was he does this bi-monthly lecture where he just sort of talks about the economics of the day, sort of what's going on in the country and what's been happening over the course of that past couple of months, and puts it into some really great perspective. I strongly recommend you check out Professor Richard Wolff if you want to have a strong understanding of economics and also what sort of the desired economics from a left-wing perspective are. Highly recommend Professor Richard Wolff. He does a weekly economic update. It's amazing, so informative. Strongly recommend. So let's take a look at this clip from Richard Wolff. and we'll come back and I guess discuss a little bit maybe, but honestly, I'm just kind of showing it to you because if you're a Bernie supporter, hopefully this will cheer you up a little bit and also just sort of give you some perspective and help you put this in perspective to realize the historic nature of this campaign. And let's just cut to this clip and then we'll come back and we'll discuss.
Because there's a tendency in the mass media, for all the reasons I've just discussed, to want to put this down, to want to say anything and everything that the left in America is still weak, is still small, is still isolated, is still politically irrelevant. Those people don't give up. You know how you can see it? In the desperation to control Bernie Sanders. Most of the candidates in the Democratic Party were centrists, whatever exactly that means. And most of them are gone. They were gone because they couldn't compete with Bernie Sanders, who defeated them in virtually every election. So they had to quit and be corralled together behind what? The most backward element of what's left of the old Democratic Party establishment, the Clintons. Oh, goodness. And they had to dredge up poor Joe Biden, whose age and incapacity are on painful display all the time, because they had to try to come up with something to stop. What an achievement for socialism that the old establishment, who used to dismiss that whole part of the political spectrum with a wave of their hand, have to mobilize every last resource. Nor is it lost on the American people, and not just the Democrats, that on the one hand, we have an old man from Vermont who excites people, who motivates them, who has a vast army of people working in every state for him, versus Mr. Biden, who has the money to buy the paid ads and to dredge up the old machinery, what's left of it, to get out the vote. What a display. Poor Mr. Biden couldn't inspire anybody. Mr. Sanders inspires almost everybody. And in case you missed a little statistic, in every case, including where Bernie Sanders wasn't the winner of the majority of the votes, he was the winner of the majority of the votes of people 40 years of age and younger. There he is the winner. And in case it's not clear to you, that's the future of the Democratic Party. It's also the future of the United States, where Mr. Sanders has already won. And as we go forward, either with Mr. Trump or with Mr. Biden, if that ends up being the victory, everyone is going to remember the difference between Bernie Sanders on the one hand and either of them on the other.
All right, so that's Professor Wolff putting into perspective this historic nature of what Bernie Sanders has done with this campaign, and the fact that this isn't the end. Even if Bernie Sanders doesn't win, and honestly, I think that at this stage now, given the shifts of what's been happening here, there is still a chance that he could win, with primary elections being postponed, say for Wisconsin, with primary elections being postponed, and the disappearance of Joe Biden. He's just been MIA for the most part, or having all these technical difficulties. He just completely inept and unable to show any sort of real leadership when that was his whole shtick, the electability candidate. He's so presidential and has this a big presidential energy, and he was supposed to be that statesman that sort of returned to normalcy, and he's been MIA. We should and will discuss Joe Biden, the sexual assault claims, the cognitive decline. I absolutely plan to dig into that in a video. So I'll get into that, just not now. But what I want to say is that this is a good outlook to have, to say what we did here and what we've shown is that there is the future of the Democratic Party and the future of the country, really. The younger people are, for one, a plurality, have a favorable view of socialism versus capitalism. And so, and not just that, but the majority of them came out and in droves voted for Bernie Sanders. And so I think that's a really hopeful way to look at things. I know that right now with climate crisis, it's like, because this pandemic, it's pushed so much out of our minds that really needs to be in the forefront of our minds. You know, we are still dealing with the climate crisis, and that still needs to be addressed. Of course, IPCC report that came out a few years ago said we have 12 years left to address this before irreparable damage is done to this planet. So we absolutely, so what that means is that we have we know that there are things that are dire that need to happen sooner than, 10, 20 years from now. We need change. We need radical, fundamental change now, right now, in order to stave off the destruction that will ensue if we do not. So on that note, little less, of a positive outlook, but still to be hopeful is that this is changing and we will be able to take power. Folks that have this new socially democratic outlook on, sort of ideology. Social Democrats are, just believe in a strong social safety net. Between a socialist and a social democrat, we agree on pretty much everything except socialists just believe, myself, I am a socialist, believe that in workplace democracy, really, that's the 21st century socialism, at least, is this idea of workers owning the means of production via a democratic institution. So via democracy, one worker, one vote on all major decisions in the company, where to work, what to build, who's going to build it, what you're going to do with the profits of that labor. All those major decisions should be made democratically. And so that's the difference between social democrats and socialists. And and so there's a lot of hope that this new social democratic or socialist ideology will take hold in this country. And if we continue to push, these ideas are crucial, they're critical, it's just the basic things that we need to do to take care of our fellow, compatriots, the fellow citizens in this country. So we have to implement these policies in order to protect working class, poor people. I definitely need to do a segment on homelessness because that's a solvable problem. We just need the political will to solve these things. George Carlin, I think, was the one that said it should be called houselessness because homelessness is too vague. What's a home? A house. These people just need houses. They just need housing. So they're houseless. But it does make me hopeful that moving forward, that even if Bernie doesn't win, there is still hope. And we are winning. Bernie Sanders has won in that he's opened up, he's sort of shifted the Overton window. What's acceptable political discussion? And so I thank him for that. I'm still trying to keep a positive outlook even at this stage of this primary. But even if we don't win, even if Bernie doesn't win for whatever reason, let's still be hopeful. Let's still keep a positive outlook and let's keep fighting because it's absolutely crucial that we do. And there's no other choice. We have to keep fighting because it's the only acceptable way to move forward. It's the only way we can move forward and not completely disintegrate as a country. So I'm hopeful. Dr. Wolff is hopeful, and he's a lot smarter than I am. He's a lot more knowledgeable than I am, and I definitely trust his outlook and perspective on this, and I hope you will too. Thank you so much. You just watched a Radical Democracy video. I'm your host, Kamali Rose. And I just wanted to say thank you. And also, please do me a favor and subscribe below. Also, smash that like button and come back for more. Please hit the bell as well. Hit that bell on the notifications and select to get all notifications so that whenever we launch a video, you get it first. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again soon. Peace. Pretty good, I think. I like it.